I used to have that I played Clockwork when I was a kid, and at my father's house, and I used to. I remember what always terrified me was the shinks. Like if you were walking in any room, no matter where you were in the game,
That
you
doesn't
always
sound racist at all.
you would always hear shink, shink, because scissors were clapping together. It was a shink, shink, and I remember it freaked me out for a little bit because the only time I'd be able to play games at his house was at night, and so I'd be sitting there in a pitch black 2-story house, empty, and because he used to work early, and so I'd be playing until like 5, 6 in the morning, and he'd be gone by then. So I'd be sitting there in this empty house, pitch black as fuck, and I'm sitting there by myself, and I would hear the shinking sounds. Little did I know that one time I went over, he had hooked up a surround sound system. I didn't know he did this. And so I'm playing the game.
And you're hearing
and
it
I'm hearing
behind you.
shrinks everywhere. And I go, for like a moment, it doesn't register in my mind. I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. I'm just playing it. And I start noticing, I'm like, well, as I'm further away from something, now it's behind me. And I look behind me, and I'm like, there's nothing there. And I'm looking in front of me, and I'm like, well, why isn't it coming out of the speakers right here anymore? And I'm not realizing it's surround sound. I'm just kind of like, why, that's weird. And so I keep playing. And I end up realizing that he didn't finish doing the surround sound. He was making it so that the surround sound would be able to be, because the receiver he was using was the one that we used for, he wanted to use to play music in other rooms. And so he had speakers hooked up to other rooms. But he didn't know I was going to be playing the PlayStation, so it wasn't hooked up to not turn the other speakers off. So as I'm playing the game, I'm hearing shinks coming from other rooms. And I'm like, wait, what is going on here? And so,
oh my God, you poor thing.
Yeah, and so I'm thinking to myself, like, so worst case scenario, this just became real, and I'm fucked. And so my instinct as a gamer is, I need to beat this game first. And so I start playing it, and I'm beating it, and I get to a point where I hear something mumbling. And I've never heard that before in the game, because I got further, and I never heard anything mumble. And so I hear something like, but it's in another room. And I'm like,
I'm not okay with this.
Now that's different. Shinkings are something like it might echo or something, but who's in my house? And so I get up and like I pause the game and I get up, and I didn't realize that the pause menu does this funny thing. Like after a while, if you're not playing the game, it just starts making noises. And so I was like, oh, this is great. So I walk into the other room looking for the suspicious, and so I go into that room, and out of nowhere I hear this, help me. I'm like, whoa, whoa.
You're being trolled by an ancient video game.
I am 10 years old. I am in no position to be a knight of shining armor for anybody. And where the fuck are you? And I'm going to the other room, and I'm playing this game of tug of war, or not tug of war, but hopscotch, where I'm going from one room to the other room to the other room, trying to figure out where the fuck the sound is coming from. And the entire night is too dark in my house for me to see speakers. So I'm not seeing the speakers hanging up.
Why aren't you turning on lights?
Because I don't want it to turn on lights. I don't know what's in there.
Oh, because you don't want to see anything.
My envision is if I can't see it, it can't see me. I have the caboose mentality of everything. I believe that no matter how scary something is, if I can't see it, it can't see me. And we're both in this equal footing of we can't see each other, so we're going to punch blindly until one of us wins. And so I'm walking, and I start hearing these weird things, like people start talking. And I'm thinking in my mind, this is it. I've come to the part of my life where I'm bumfuck crazy now. So everything in my life has led up to this point. I've been attacked. I've been horrified by nature. Everything has just overwhelmed my mind, and I finally snapped. And now I'm hearing shit.
It's like the origin story of a supervillain.
I am done. Like, this is it. I need to call a doctor and just fucking go to a psych ward. And so I'm sitting there for like an hour walking around trying to figure out where these sounds are coming from. And finally it brings it to the limit where I can't deal anymore, where it does a scream. It does a blood-curdling scream and a shriek. And I just book it. I book it the fuck out of the house. I start running down the street. And then I realize to myself, I go, oh, wait, this is a stupid idea because I know the people next door. So I run over to the people next door, which I guess doesn't make any sense because if something was in my house, it probably can come next door. And so I run over to the people next door, and I start knocking on their door. I'm like, hey, someone. And their kid walks up. Their kid is a fucking asshole because their kid walks up, and their kid has this weird fascination with being a masochist, sicko motherfucker. And he walks up, and he's wearing like all black. And he has like this kind of like he comes in.
He
like
might have been a sociopath.
No, maybe, but he comes in he's wearing all black pajamas. He has a hood on, and all I can see.
I am ninja. We are ninja.
All I can see because it's dark. He doesn't turn the lights on. And so he comes in just to open because he saw it was me outside of the because I was talking. I was like, hey, open the door, open the door. He's like, oh, it's Andrew from next door. And so he comes and he's wearing all this hooded stuff. I can't see his face or anything. All I can see is when he opens the door, he's holding a Chucky doll. And I look at him and I go, this is a fucked up situation. I fucking book it back to my house, not remembering that my house was haunted at this point.
Because you got more freaked out by the Chucky doll?
Yeah, I got freaked out by the fact that something was holding a Chucky doll. I didn't know what the fuck it was because I couldn't see it. Chucky answered the door. That's all I knew. Chucky answered the door, and I was not gonna sit there.
Chucky can jump pretty high.
Yeah, I was not gonna sit there at 5 a.m. talking to Chucky at my neighbor's front door. Like, that's not part of my desires of today. And so I run back into my house, and I don't realize this, but I forgot that there's other people in the house. I forgot that there's my stepdad's, my stepmother's kids in the house, and so I run back in the house, and I hear this rustling in the kitchen, and I go, fuck, now I'm screwed, because now not only is something going to kill me, it's going to steal my food.
It's Creepy Dave.
It's stealing my food, and it's going to kill me. This is a
Creepy Dave was in your childhood.
Yeah, and so I freak out, and I hear like this shaking sound again. I'm like, God damn it. And so I start, like, slowly going upstairs, and then I hear out of nowhere, say, who's there? And I stop. And I'm thinking, wait, that sounds really, really, really real. Like, that's, like, fucking vocal as fuck. Like, the games were kind of distant and kind of, like...
But that's, like, right there.
That sounded right there. And I was like, wait a second. This isn't funny anymore. Like, there's someone in this fucking house. And so I go...
like, you just completely forgot there was people in the house?
I completely forgot there's other people. And so my first intention, I don't know why, maybe as a 10-year-old kid, just sounded smart. I said, what is it to you?
Fucking smartass.
Which is just not something you say as you walk into a house.
Thinking that a robber is going to assume that was a tough guy attitude and go, whoa, we got a badass over here.
That's not an effective response to any situation.
Exactly. And so the person in the other room just goes, stay where the fuck you are. And I hear someone walking. My friend says, fuck that shit, this person's pissed off. I book it to my fucking room. I hear running, and I hear someone, and I lock my door, and I hear someone come to the door. I said, and it's like just a light, like a light whisper. Just, you should open the door. And I'm like, no, I should not. I don't know who you are. Motherfucker. And I look over to my room, and I look at my, look, because I shared a bed with one of the kids, and I look over, and he's still sleeping. And I go, okay, so if it's not him, what's the other guy in this fucking house? Because I'm not thinking there's another guy. I don't know any other guys that's in this fucking house. It happened to be the boyfriend of the older girl that was there. And I didn't know this. I didn't know he was staying over. And so there's a guy in my house, I don't know, like whispering to me, open your door. And I'm like, nobody, I don't know who you are. So what I do is I open the window, I go out the window onto there's like a ledge. I go on the ledge and I walk over to the girl's room. I go into the girl's room, I go, hey, there's someone in the house. And she looks up and she goes, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, there's someone in the fucking house. And the guy busts into that room and he goes, you! And I go, who the fuck are you? And she goes, wait, what the fuck's going on? And the guy goes, who are you? And I go, who the fuck are you? I live here. And he goes like, why were you coming in and out of the house at 5 in the morning? I'm like, because I heard some scary noises. And he's like, that's the video game. I'm like, no, the video game's in the speakers. And he's like, yeah, surround sound. I'm like, I feel like an idiot. I'm going to bed. And I fucking just turn off the game and I go to bed. I was like, that was such a terrifying night. And my father ends up like, my father comes home later on and I wake up and I look at him and I go, hey, do we have surround sound? And he looks at me and he goes like, why? And I go like, oh, well, because I was playing my game last night and I kept like hearing the things and it was like in other rooms and stuff. He goes, oh, we don't have surround sound.
The guy is an asshole.
Your dad's a dick.
I look and I go, okay, you're not funny anymore. And I go downstairs, I take the receiver, and I start pulling the receiver out, and it's like pulling all the cords. And he goes, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm like, we don't have surround sound. What do we need a receiver for? He's like, okay, we have surround sound. I'm like, fuck you. Fuck you for not telling me. Fuck you for letting some other guy I don't know come in the house without telling me, and fuck everything about this last night. And I was like, this is not fun at all. And like, I tell you, I never beat the game, never played it again after that. And the only other time the game ever scared me in that house was Mortal Kombat, and that was
what?
When you do a fatality, and he did this thing. One of the people did a fatality where they scare you, and it scares the soul out of you, and your character just like the soul starts running away, and so the soul was running away. But for some reason, it wouldn't stop the sound playing for running away, and it just kept doing footsteps. And for like a moment in my mind, I'm like, okay, the game's done. Like the game goes back to whatever it's doing. Like it was like choose your character, but the footsteps are still going. I'm like, where the fuck are these footsteps coming from? And I'm sitting there like.
Do you just constantly play games in pitch darkness
I
or
do.
something?
Because
You're getting scared by everything at this point.
Oh, it got worse when he moved to a different house because we were actually in his house he was in a house and there were no other houses near him because it was like a new house, so it was the only house in this area, and so it's this completely empty street of nothing because they're building houses. So it's all these new houses that are being built, and behind him is this creepy as fuck field, and all that's in this field is high grass and a broken car. And there's nothing else. And because he's a dick, he decided that, fields are beautiful to look at, so he put a low fence, and so there's like...
It sounds like the setting of the first Condemned game at the end.
Basically. And so it's like this low fence, and I just see fields, and that's where it's like it looks right into the living room where I sit and I play my games. And so when I'd be playing games at night, and I hear strange noises, he was a dick, and he thought like, curtains are stupid. We don't need curtains because they just add extra stuff to get to the door. So he didn't want curtains in his house. So we didn't have any curtains. So I would always look over, and there's emptiness, just black emptiness. And my intention is just like, that's glass. I mean, I've watched every action movie from like head to toe. Glass can be broken. I mean, it's not like a wall. Like you can't just break through a wall. You ain't the Hulk. But glass, you just take a chair to. And so all the time there's scary shit. It's like, and animals would come into the backyard, and they would hit shit off the backyard and make sounds. And I would always look out there and just black, and I'm just like, what am I supposed to do with this situation? And he was such a dick because there was a kitty corner right by that glass door. There was a kitty corner, and it was this perfect, beautiful kitty corner. He put the computer right there, and so every time I'm on the computer and I'm reading,
you're just surrounded by windows.
I'm on the computer, and so to my right is the living room. To my left is just glass door to nothingness. And so I'm just sitting there right next to glass doors, and I would always be doing stuff on the computer, like reading scary stories or like watching scary stuff. And I would always look over and go, why am I doing this? This is the worst setup in all time. And